ocean, drops in one ocean. Oh, will you rise up with me today? Lift up your voice and boldly say, we are the ones we've been waiting for. With the dream of your eyes calling, you know what you will do. We're the ones who can make a difference. Let's stand together. Share gifts for the world that's waiting for a change that we're all creating. It's more for our goodness. Let's stand together now. Right now.
Relaxing your shoulders, closing your outer eyes to center within. Just take a gentle breath. And as we pause and center within, we let go of the activity of the morning, the busyness of getting here. And centered within, we let go of the busyness of the mind, bringing our attention into our hearts, looking for that wisdom of the heart that reminds us that all is well in every circumstance and that we have all that we need within us to meet every challenge with grace and spiritual poise, opening to blessings in each moment and each circumstance. We remember these things together, lifting each other up today and remembering the teachings of the Christ that are guiding us in every moment. And so it is. Amen.
Welcome to Unity North Tampa. My name is Shirley Rao, and we recognize you as a wise and loving, powerful, spiritual being. Thank you for sharing your radiant presence with us this morning. We are pleased that you have chosen to be with us today, either in person or online. If this is your first time being with us in person, please pick up a welcome packet at the usher's table before you leave. Please join me as we declare our opening affirmation, which is in the bulletin. Together, there is only one presence and one power in my life and in the universe, God, the good omnipotence. One of our founding members, Linda Carter, is going to share her Unity story with us today.
Good morning. Good morning. I guess my story starts when I was a child, 8 years of Catholic school. Really kept me from appreciating the traditional church as I think most of us grew up in. But it did have its high, it had the, some mystical stuff about it that, I was attracted to. And I learned that if you said the act of contrition before you die, you're going straight to heaven. So my goal in life was to learn how to say it really fast. So that as I was dying after I got hit by a car, I had my ticket to heaven because I knew that place wouldn't be there for last week. In the mid-70s, I was a Peace Corps volunteer in Africa and lived in the middle of nowhere. And my house was full of books by Edgar Cayce. And I was like, wow, there's somebody, or there was someone that kind of thinks like I think. And the whole thing of the communication and all. So I read all the books, because besides teaching, there's not a lot to do there, except when my now husband came to visit. So we both left Peace Corps, left Africa, and went to Mississippi, Bible Belt. So that put me back a little bit. I went to a few Baptist churches, and that just didn't work. And I sold life insurance at that time. And I was given the name of a gentleman who had moved from Tulsa, Oklahoma to Tupelo, Mississippi, and he was my orphan. So I met with him, and I was supposed to, work with him in his life insurance plan. And his wife was there, and she didn't want him. She was a teeny little woman, still is, and but there was a glow about her. There was just something about her. So we were talking, and she said that she meditated, and I was like, oh, I think I might benefit from that. So we would start meeting on Wednesday nights, and eventually I knew some chiropractors, and they were going to Eckankar, which I did try to go to, and they really don't believe in God, and I need God. So we started a little Unity class. And at first we met at her house, and then a gentleman who owned the Ramada Inn was kind enough to give us a room outside of the convention center. So, it's like we're learning prosperity and everything else, and here, he gave us a room that we could meet every Sunday. And eventually it got too small, so we got a very good deal at a place that we could rent for our own, much like when we started here, small, and we were almost grown out of it, but we stayed there for several years. And Carolyn, the minister, never really went. She did not go to Unity. She'd never been to Unity Village to this day, but she just had the innate knowing and glowing and teaching, and everything resonated. And she at one point then decided that she had to step back because it was a lot of work. But we were still friends, we still met, we still had meditations. And so from there, I then came to Florida, thinking, oh good, there's a lot of Unity churches here, we'll be able to find something. Well, in the immediate area that we were at, the ministers just did not resonate, so it was back to just not going to church, basically. And then one morning I decided I'm going to go to this particular church that I had been to once. And I said, because I've got to find something. So Reverend Virginia was speaking that day. And I'm like, I have found my Carolyn. And I said, oh, great. So, I told my husband, and So he was excited as well because he embraced unity. So I went the next Sunday and she said, well, this is my final time here. And I'm like, oh no, we just found her and now she's leaving. But that opened up a whole new door because we left that location and rented a few places, a couple of the hotel rooms, which it was really a trip. Virginia would pull up, we'd empty everything out of the car, set the altar up and everything, and have the service and have hospitality, and then load it all back into her car. So I don't know how many months we did that, and it was like, whoosh, there's gotta be something better. So quite a few were out looking for a location, and we eventually ended up there on North Florida. But Unity, through those years, the early years got me through a lot. My husband's father was run over by some farm equipment, and he did not survive, but it gave Dana and I the strength to not see it in a bad way, but to try and understand it, but be very calm and try to be the calming wheel that kept the whole family together, and so that they wouldn't totally fall apart. And in the early 80s, it did a lot for my business working. I learned a lot of the Unity principles that I put to my the business I was in, and working with people and going with my intuition, and then realizing when I backed off from my intuition, it was wrong. So all through these years, since the early 80s, it has really brought us to a place that, and we're still working on it, that we feel like we can face some obstacles and try to get through them in a way that's not a dark cloud hanging over us. And Reverend Virginia has just totally, these past years have just been wonderful. Her services always were at the right time for what we needed to hear. And without that, we probably wouldn't have been able to get through some of the things that we've faced. But, if anybody has any doubts or questions about Unity, it's just let your spirit flow, and let it work with you, and the teachings, which are fantastic. That's it.
Thank you, Linda, for sharing your story with us. Very meaningful. On this Memorial Sunday, we honor those who have given their lives in service to this country. We owe each one and their families our profound gratitude and appreciation. We also want to express today our gratitude to those who have served in any branch of the military and any with us who are now serving. We ask that you please stand so that we may recognize you. It is suggested that tomorrow on Memorial Day at 3 p.m., wherever you are, that we pause for a few moments of silent gratitude for those who have given their lives for this country. And we invite you to pause now for a moment in memory of the fallen. Thank you. The Daily Word has a devotion, our daily devotions that inspire people around the world. And as we affirm today's message, we become global prayer partners with others, sharing the same positive intentions for the good of all. We ask that you center within now and listen deeply as we share today's message. Bill Leach will share the daily word in English, and David Lopez will share the message in Spanish.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The daily word for Sunday, May 30th is inner peace. Peace grows within me as I remain centered in God. Inner peace, the peace of God that my words can only begin to describe, does not depend on outer circumstances. Peace does not come from any external source. It arises from within me. In a place in consciousness sometimes called the center of my being, peace, like all the qualities of God, waits for me to recognize and claim it. I claim inner peace when I remember the truth that God's presence is always with me and within me. As I center my awareness in the divine presence within, peace soothes my feelings and restores order to my thoughts. I move through all circumstances with calm assurance. Peace grows within me as I remain centered in God. Every event of my day contributes to the calm peace of my soul. And from Isaiah 26:3, those of steadfast mind you keep in peace because they trust in you. Thank you.
Buenos días.
Buenos días.
Domingo 30 de mayo del 2021. La palabra de hoy es paz interna. La paz crece en mí cuando me mantengo centrado en Dios. La paz interna, la paz de Dios, no depende de circunstancias externas. La serenidad no viene de fuentes externas, viene de mi interior. En un lugar de mi conciencia, en el centro de mi ser, la paz, como todas las cualidades de Dios, me espera para que la reconozca y la exprese. Proclamo mi paz interna recordando la verdad de que la presencia de Dios está siempre conmigo en mí. Si centro mi conciencia en la presencia divina de mi interior, la paz alivia mis emociones y establece el orden en mis pensamientos. Afronto toda circunstancia con aplomo y tranquilidad. La calma crece en mí cuando mantengo mi enfoque en Dios. Cada suceso de mi día contribuye a la serenidad de mi alma. Y de Isaías 26:3, la palabra dice: tú guardas en completa paz a quien siempre piensa en ti y pone en ti su confianza. Y así sea.
Gracias.
Let's listen to I Am That I Am in preparation for meditation. We remind you not to sing along as a COVID precaution. Please hum the melody if you like.
Is
So I invite you to join me now, excuse me, in a time of meditation. And we begin by centering within, finding that comfortable position in the chair, sitting so that the spine is straight, allowing for a flow of energy, a flow of breath, and that we may sit in alert attention to spirit within. And so just allow your shoulders to relax. Relax your facial muscles and the tiny muscles around your eyes. And we let go of any concerns, setting them aside. With our attention centered in our hearts, we open to that infinite divine love that is always healing, guiding, and providing for us. We center in this consciousness by relaxing even more with deep conscious breathing. So I invite you just to exhale as much as you can, letting go of as much air as you can from the lungs, contracting the belly muscles, gently releasing fully. And then breathe in deeply, letting the belly expand as you breathe in, with the air filling the belly and the chest. And then exhaling fully and gently again, releasing and letting go of anything that does not serve you. Again, breathing in deeply. We expand with the breath. And then we again release with a full exhale. One more time, we breathe in deeply, welcoming spirit, welcoming this breath of life. And then we release with a gentle sigh, audibly. And now we allow the breath to find a gentle rhythm. Being grateful that we don't have to think about the breath, that it happens for us. And in so many ways it represents how we are always provided for on this life journey. Centered in our hearts, we remember how loved we are, that we are being guided in every moment, that we are valuable and important to the divine plan of unfolding good for all people. Centered within, we remember that we are not the body. We are not our thoughts, our emotions. For we are pure spirit. Having this human experience. And so, centered within, we listen to the Christ voice within, the urging of the higher self that is always calling us up higher. remembering that we are divine life in expression. We are divine love in expression. We are divine wisdom, divine understanding, spiritual faith, infinite strength and vitality. We are able to eliminate anything that is not our truth as a spiritual being. We have the power to let go of what is not who we truly are. That which is within us is greater than any difficulty or any challenge. And we claim that power, remembering who we are as spiritual beings, infinite, spiritually confident, aligning with peace in every circumstance, finding a power and a strength within us that we did not know we had as we awaken to our truth. Cuando nos centramos en nuestros corazones, podemos comprender la verdad de nuestra naturaleza espiritual. Reconocimos a mismos que somos paz divina. Somos el poder y fortaleza divina. Somos infinitos. In the silence, I invite you to affirm silently your spiritual name, I am, knowing that it recognizes the whole truth of who you are, the beauty, the wholeness, the perfection of the divine, here and now. Let us take a few moments in the silence for this realization. Simply silently repeating the I am, letting go of any other thoughts that arise, returning to your truth, allowing it to resonate within you and vibrate within every level of your being. In the silence. Respiramos profundamente de nuevo. We breathe in again deeply. And just notice how you're feeling. Notice if there's any resistance to the idea that there's nothing you have to do to be the I am, for you are already that. It is your divine inheritance. We give thanks that we are awakening to that truth, so that we may live that truth, bringing peace, harmony, and abundance to our lives and our world. affirm that awakening is stirring in all people. For we are one in spirit. And so it is. And I invite you now to take a time to pray for those whom you would like to include in prayer. As you call each one to mind, do not focus on their circumstances or limitations, seeming limitations. See them as the radiant beings that they are, already whole and well, balanced, peaceful, powerful, abundant. Take a few moments now, holding that thought, that image as you speak these names, connecting with them and supporting them in expressing their highest good. And so we give thanks for the knowing that each of these loved ones is that perfect expression of spirit. And though no matter the difficulties they have within them, all they need to move through these circumstances and come into greater awareness of their spiritual truth in the midst of every challenge. And we envision them being transformed in every circumstance, allowing more and more of their divine radiance to shine and express. And we affirm the same for ourselves. In Christ's name, amen. And I invite you now to affirm with me, as Jesus taught us to pray, our Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we have also forgiven our debtors. And lead us not in temptation, but deliver us from error. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen.
I am the
So we've been studying the book, Finding Yourself in Transition, because as a ministry, we are in transition of leadership. And I know many of you also find yourselves in transition of some kind in your life. And in truth, as the book says, in every moment of life, we are transitioning from the present moment to the next moment to the next moment. And the only thing consistent about this life experience is change. So it's a good thing if we can understand change, and not only understand it, but take advantage of it. For it is for our own good. And so whatever change we're going through, whether it be something that seems small or a very dramatic change, awareness is always the state of consciousness we want to be in. Because there's this human part of us that does not like change. Anybody in here, you can say that I really just love change. All right, that's what I'm not a single hand. That's what I thought. None of us, so there's one. One person who's awake. No, all of you are awake. But doesn't the human self kick and scream? Sometimes we hide, we ignore it, we try to just pretend it's not there. We use ways to distract ourselves from it. We sometimes get into addictions, we'll deny it, we'll fight against it, but it just doesn't work that way. So we're learning in the book how to deal with change and how to flow with life going through all of these changes. So that when change comes, especially big traumatic change, that we are ready to deal with it, that we know how to move through it gracefully, spiritually aware, and not stuck in our human resistance that is kicking and screaming like a 3-year-old having a tantrum. You may have found as an adult that really doesn't work too well. So how do we become aware of this? So in the book, the author, Reverend Robert Brummett, who's a Unity minister, who was one of my instructors in seminary many years ago, tells us that there are 3 stages. There is the ending, and then there's the beginning of the ending, and the middle of the ending, and the end of the ending. And then, so in each level there are levels within that, but the basic 3 are, we begin with the ending of something. It's an ending we may have chosen. We may choose to leave a job or move to a new place. We may choose many things. Or life will present us with changes, as you know. The next step is the void, and we talked about that last week. It seems like a time of flatness, of apathy, of confusion, because, okay, we've come to the ending, but now what next? And there's this in-between stage, like the caterpillar that spins the cocoon and is in that chrysalis until it becomes a butterfly and breaks out to a beautiful new expression. So this is the cocooning time. Or you might think of a seed being planted in the earth that takes time to sprout and grow. So the void is this quiet time. And there's one chapter in the book where he talks about it as the still point. It's not, we're not in the past anymore because we've learned we have to let go of the past because what has happened and we cannot change it. So accepting where we are in this moment is a quiet moment of stillness. And this is a time of inner growth and transformation if we allow it to be. And as we go within and listen to our heart and become aware of what we are being guided to do next, we can form a plan. New ideas can be birthed within us. For the change that we're going through, we can either just allow whatever to happen, or in the new beginning, we can be a participant in what that future will look like. But we need to use our spiritual practices to do that. And so we don't want to give up. We don't want to be in denial. We don't want to feel defeated, but sometimes we do, going through the process. So in the void, though, can be a time of real transformation, spiritual development, and awakening that's going on for us. So that sometimes is also called the still point, the quietness. It can be very uncomfortable, especially if you're a goal-driven person and you want to have a plan and you want to be putting your plan into action. You may not like that pause that we call the void. In fact, it may feel very uncomfortable because there's no map. We don't know where we're going. We've never been here before. We don't know what to expect. We may think we're not capable of dealing with it because how do you know how to deal with what you don't know you have to deal with? It's all very overwhelming sometimes. And if we are conscious and aware during the void and turn inside for guidance, to trust that there is a divine order and a plan for us that is unfolding, then we can move gracefully into the new beginnings. All these stages are times of spiritual awareness because true change and transformation happens within us. It may look like the outside, the external circumstances, what's going on in the physical world is shaping our life, but it's not. Because we have the power to shape our lives no matter what's going on out there. And I know Linda discovered that. Thank you for that beautiful sharing. That there were times in her life when she found a strength and wisdom she had not known before. Yes. And so we have to go within. Go within in prayer, meditation, being open to guidance, being trusting that guidance. And then as we begin to understand that there is a plan, yes, everything looks chaotic. It looks like a crisis, but there's really a divine plan at work here. The book explains that beautifully. And you may have noticed that in your own life, that many of the times when we thought horrible things were happening to us, and yes, there was difficulty in it, and there was hurt in it, and there was pain in it. But when we came out the other side, we had greater wisdom and greater strength and greater peace because we found out how strong we are. And we may begin to notice then, if we pay attention, we notice that there were signs all along the way that what happens was here to bless us. And so there is this profound statement that he shares in the book when he says that the God we pray to help us get through these circumstances is the same God that created the circumstances and is the God that is our transformation. Or as Walter Starkey, wonderful New Thought author, would say, it's all God, even when we don't recognize it as such. So there's the ending and the void, and then the new beginning that happens. Sometimes we don't even realize we're in the new beginning, because things in the outer may not change yet. But if we have changed inside, and we are changing inside one way or the other, then there will be change in the outside. Sometimes it takes external circumstances to say, oh, look, this is the new beginning I've been waiting for. Here's the synchronicity. Here's that person I needed to talk to. That was a dream that I had, that this was going to happen, or that I should do this or that. We pay attention to our intuition, our guidance that comes to us in many, many ways. Dreams are one of those ways. There's a beautiful story in the book, and I hope to do it justice, but I know I won't use my words, not his, in the book. So the story is an old traditional story from the Jewish faith. And there was a rabbi who was very, very poor. He was very pious. And you know, many spiritually minded people think that it's not okay to have abundance or wealth if you're spiritual. However, in Unity, our co-founder, Charles Fillmore, said, and forgive me for using this word, it's a sin to be poor. What does he mean by that? It's an error to be poor, for we were meant to be abundant. And so if we don't know that, we haven't awakened to our truth yet. So this poor, pious rabbi was living in a state of poverty. His house even had a dirt floor. But he wanted more. He didn't want to stay a poor person. And he began to have dreams. And he dreamed that he traveled to a big city, in this particular case, Prague. And so he took the long journey on foot, of course, and it took days to get there, and he finally got there. In his dream, he sees himself going to this city, and he crosses a bridge that goes over to the great estate of a huge castle. And that he was guided in this dream to go across this bridge, and there was a place there that he would start digging and find a treasure chest filled with treasure, valuables. And he had that dream 3 times. And he said, well, this must be God speaking to me. You know, the Old Testament, the Hebrew scriptures are full of times when people get their guidance in dreams. And so after dreaming it 3 times, he decided to make the journey. So he did. He set out on foot, just like his dream. He traveled to Prague. He found the castle. He went over the bridge where the castle was, and he went to the place that he saw in his dream, and he started digging, and sure enough, the shovel hit something, and it was a chest. And he opened it, and it was empty. And he was brokenhearted and devastated, and he just collapsed and sobbed. He said, I thought I was supposed to come here, and I thought I would have fine treasure, and here's the chest, but it's empty. And he's sobbing his heart out, and the soldier comes over to him, a guard of the palace, puts his hand on his shoulder and said, oh man, what is your problem? And he said, oh, I thought I was being guided. I thought I would find treasure here, and I had this dream that led me here, and now the dream has left me empty-handed, and I don't know where to turn. He said, oh, you shouldn't pay attention to dreams. Those are silly dreams. They don't mean anything. I mean, just like me recently, I had this dream that this old man was looking for treasure, and he was digging and couldn't find it, but then he went home, and there he started digging in the dirt inside his house, and guess what? There was the treasure chest filled with gold. And what does that story mean? It means that the real treasure is already ours. A house represents our consciousness. Within our own consciousness is the treasure of our spiritual nature, the treasure of divine wisdom, guidance, and that peace that comes from knowing there is a plan for our life that is unfolding, and the higher self, our spiritual self, is always calling us to follow that plan, to be courageous and take risks according to your guidance. Step out in courage and faith. The real treasure is within. Change comes from within. New beginnings come from within. The insights of the void come from within. And so in prayer and meditation, we align with that higher self that is the true treasure and gold within us. And yet there's that human part of us that doubts the dream, just like the soldier that said, oh, those dreams are silly. How many of you have gotten guidance in dreams? I had the important dreams stay with me. I like to try to remember all my dreams, but there are certain dreams, and I bet you're that way too, that make an impact on your psyche, and you remember them years afterwards. When I got the call to ministry, I needed a sign, because I'm like Moses. Oh Lord, you're mistaken. You surely don't need me. But I had this dream, so I said, give me a sign. I need a sign here, God, before I start out on this thing. And so I had a dream that I was walking by a lake. There was a beautiful mountain in the background. And at my side was a puma, a mountain lion, a panther. It's here in Florida, same thing. My hand was on her shoulder, and we were walking together in peace. And so I looked up panther, mountain lion, in my animal symbolism book. And I had read most of them anyway, but I looked, and there it was, and I read it, and it said, if you dream about this animal today, you are being called to leadership. And so I had a ring made with a panther's paw and other symbols. Turquoise, which is a stone of leadership, set in gold, riches of spirit. And so I had that ring made to remind me that I was being called to do this. So dreams are not silly. They are a powerful way that our higher self speaks to us, trying to get our attention. And so we need to be open. As the book says, there are a couple of things we want to know. First of all, because change starts within, we need to center within every day. We need to go into prayer and meditation and align with the I am self, the spirit self. We need to be open to that guidance and have the courage to follow it. There is a very interesting analogy he makes, because you know we do have this struggle with the human self that says, nah, dreams don't mean anything, you don't deserve this. You know, all of those negative things that come up in our mind because of our programming early on in life. I want to share a picture that I found with you that was referred to in the book. I think we have a slide. So this is a centaur. You know, the mythical creature, half human, half animal, half horse. And this particular mosaic got my attention of the centaur because it captured my imagination. The struggle we have as spiritual beings trying to awaken to our truth. That when we are controlled by the programming of early life, those ideas and beliefs that we develop are often that we are not good enough, that we are not lovable, that we are not capable, that we don't deserve good in life, that there is no purpose for us, that life is chaos and then it's over. But we know there's a higher truth. And so in this case, it reminded me of Charles Fillmore's references to the animalistic side of us. That's the ego side. And we know what acronym for ego is edging God out. And so it's that animal nature of us when we instinctively react in anger or fear or pain. It's all from programming that can be released. We can reprogram ourselves through our prayers and meditation and other spiritual practices. And so there's that part of us that doesn't accept that we are a spiritual being. And Charles Fillmore talks about coming out of the animalistic mind into the mind of the I am, the one mind, the divine mind. And he says in the book, Reverend Brummett says in the book, that we are like the centaur, half human, half animal. And we're trying to, as he say, draw our sword out of the scabbard of our humanness. I don't know, that analogy just really struck me. And so I looked up pictures of centaurs, and then I found this one. And here's the centaur besieged by other wild animals. He is caught up in a land of animals, but he is yet half human, but still stuck in part animal himself. And you see he's in a battle with these animals. But the battle is within us. The battle is letting go of the animalistic side, letting go of the ego side, letting go. This is the surrender that we also need to do when we are in this process of moving into new beginnings. The surrender is not giving up control. The surrender is not becoming a doormat. The surrender is surrendering the human consciousness to the spiritual consciousness, so that the human form can come out of that animalistic stage of consciousness into a new spiritual awareness of first of ourselves as wonderful sacred humans, because we're here to experience this human life just as it is, but we're also here to awaken to our spiritual powers. When we understand that there's a plan for our lives, when we understand that we're being guided in every moment, that Christ within is the wisdom and the strength that we truly are, we need to come into the reality of who we truly are. And those new beginnings offer us an opportunity to wake up to new possibilities, new strengths, for that dream in our heart to come true. And so the book really guides us through becoming more spiritually aware. We can go through these changes and not be more aware if we're stuck in the old programming. But when we take our steps and use our spiritual tools, then we come into a beautiful expression of life that may be nothing like we thought it would be. We may be so surprised in such a wonderful way. Surprises can make us think that we're a victim, but the truth is, we are never victims. For that which is within us is greater than any challenge. One of my favorite affirmations. So I invite you to, in every change in life, go into prayer, go into meditation, have faith in yourself, understand who you truly are. And for right now, the whole world is going through this transition of awakening to a new level of spiritual expression, which he so beautifully explains in the book, quoting many spiritual teachers, that it is time for us to awaken, to come out of the old animalistic roots, to go through this acknowledgement of the sacred human, and that this humanity is part of our spiritual expression. And there is that yet greater of us that we are here to awaken to. And when we are in that peaceful mindset, when we are in that spiritual understanding, we can move through changes without fear. And so I encourage you, as a spiritual family, as you go through this time of transition and selecting a new leader, to pray about it, meditate about it, visualize what you would like to have, and also stay in faith that this is working for your good. And I have had a vision of where this ministry is going. And it is a bright, golden dream come true. That I've seen this beautiful, radiant vision for you. And I know that it is there. So let us walk into that vision in faith and trust, and knowing who we are, and being joyful for the gifts that are there for us in every circumstance. And then, of course, we live that truth in our own change, finding our new beginnings, new expanded expressions of who we are. For you are the beautiful, radiant, powerful, abundant expression of God. Take a deep breath, take that into your heart. And so it is. Do I hear an amen? Amen. Yes. God bless you.
We are grateful for your prayers and your financial support. Every donation makes a difference in many lives. Because you are giving, we have a weekly homeless outreach, a supportive prayer chaplain ministry, meaningful Sunday services and classes in person and online. And because of your giving, we have the spacious, peaceful, spiritual center. Thank you. On our website, www.unitynorthtampa.org, you can click on the donate button or send checks to our mailing address in the bulletin and on our website. If you are with us in person today, please make your donations in one of the offering unit urns located around our seating area. Thank you. Please join me in declaring our abundance affirmation. I am divine love and infinite abundance. All that I am, have, give, and receive multiplies and blesses me and the world.
So please join me in giving thanks for our offering and blessing it. So we do give thanks for all the gifts that we have received, knowing that each one is given in love, recognizing the one and only infinite source that is constantly blessing us abundantly. We bless each gift that has come in electronically, by mail, or in person, and we give thanks knowing that all of these donations are going to support the Christ teachings and the will and the work of the Christ, and so it is. Amen. Thank you. And actually, we don't have urns today, we have baskets because we're indoors.
Today, at 1 to 3, Reverend Virginia will be leading the Consciousness Transition class in fellowship. This class will be repeated online Tuesday, June the 1st from 7 to 9. The link for the class can be found on our website or in our weekly email. The June calendars are in your bulletins today, along with the insert about the volunteer forms and a guest speaker survey form. If you have not filled out these forms, please do so today, and please don't fill out more than one of the guest speaker surveys. Please put the completed forms in the offering baskets by the door. Never even thought of that. Somebody else did. You can still have time. Hey, you can still have time to get your 50-50 drawing tickets to help out the ministry and to give yourself a chance to win some extra cash. Please remember to give the 50-50 flyers to your friends and neighbors and co-workers and increase the amount of the prize and our prosperity. One of the council members has a transition report for us.
Good morning. And I'm actually on the minister search team. The transition team is being led by Vicki, but I cover all the bases, I think. First of all, I'm disappointed to hear that I can't keep voting for Greg as guest speaker. So the one I'm sure you want to hear about is the minister search team. Many people volunteered and offered to serve on that team, and so we're grateful to everyone who offered to be part of that process. Thank you. The Leadership Council decided to go with the recommendations from Unity Worldwide Ministries. They suggested 6 to 8 people with no more than 2 who are from the Leadership Council. And so I'm going to give you the names. First of all, the 2 from the Leadership Council are our Council President, Donna Stevens, and myself, Bill Leach. I'm the Co-Treasurer. And then the 6 people that the Council selected to serve on the Minister Transition team, you can just sort of wave as we announce you: Jeff Means, Barbara Mons, Jessica Noble, Jenny Phillips, Mitch Vigavino, she's not here today, and Greg. These are your minister search team. We are hoping to get our application package into Unity Worldwide Ministries. It has to be posted on their website to get the ministerial candidates, first of all, vetted by Unity Worldwide Ministries and then sent it back to us. And we're hoping to start that probably by this Friday is the goal. And the good news there is that we were working on the mission and vision statements, and we do have proposals that the council will be voting on this week. So I want to thank everyone on the mission and vision team for all the excellent ideas and all the input again we got from multiple people. You were all part of the process. And so thank you again for sharing your radiant truth with us, because it allowed us to visualize. And I think I've got the mission statement that we're proposing the vision statement more or less memorized that we came up with. A compassionate home for all who seek peace. That's our vision. Make it so. Let's get in the car. Thank you.
Would our prayer chaplains who are on duty please stand? Our prayer chaplains are available to pray with you privately after the service. Everything shared with them is absolutely confidential. Our prayer chaplains who are on duty are wearing purple stoles. Thank you.
So now it's time for us to sing our peace song. If you would please stand. And I just remind you for COVID cautions that we don't sing. I know this is really hard because of all this. We are contemplating the idea of maybe going outside to sing at the end of the service, weather permitting. How many of you would like to do that? Maybe. Okay, think about it. All right. So right now, we're not going to sing. You can hum and smile and sway and hold hands with those next to you and take in the words of this song, knowing that as we hold peace in our hearts, we send peace out into the world. The light of God surrounds us. We are light. The love of God enfolds us. We are love. The power of God protects us. We are power. The presence of God watches over us. We are presence. Wherever we are, God is within us, and all is well. Amen.